What's up, guys? This is Jay with Trench Collectibles, and I'm doing a quick video here today. I'm going to show you how to ship a comic or a small stack of comics, and maybe talk a little bit about how other people ship comics, because I guess the way I do it is probably a little different. I haven't seen very many people talk about the way I do it. First, I'm going to show you kind of what other people do. Some people like to ship them like this, which basically has no protection. Comics can fold right in half in this thing. Now, if you put something rigid in it to make it a rigid package, such as pieces of cardboard, make sure the comic's secure between those two pieces of board and stick it down in there. Now, this envelope, the way it came to me is with another priority mail box inside of it. But you're going to pay what the outside envelope is, no matter what. But I wouldn't ship this without something to make it rigid inside the package. And you see a lot of people doing it without and with the rigid. If you're doing it without the rigid, they're slippery. You need something rigid in there to keep the comic from bending up. Now you see a lot of people using these. They get a 4-panel mailer like that. This one's from eBay. They make one specifically for comics. This one's kind of wide, so you can fit like albums or big books and something like this. But if you're using it on comics, I don't like to use these for a small amount of comics or just one comic because of the size of the box. But if you do use them on comics, they're still going to be kind of small. But as long as you tape the tabs down tight on all the panels, like as tight as you can get it down to the books won't budge, and you won't have to put any cushion in there, and it'll protect the corners of the comic just fine, because as you can see, it's way bigger than the comic. So I may make a video quickly going over that at some point, show exactly how to ship a stack of comics. But the way I personally ship one single comic or small stack of comics, I use corrugated cardboard. This is 8-flute roll. If I remember, you'll pay about $30 or so for this. And it's 12 inches by 12 inches by 250 feet. And what you simply do is, what I typically do is I cover the product in saran wrap, and then I'll wrap it in this thing 2 times, tape down the edges, and what that does is it forms a box to where the corners are going to be more protected, even than the Gemini mailers. Because I've even got Gemini mailers where the corners are completely crushed in, and that's just not going to happen when you use the 8-flute. Now, the bigger your stack, you can do it for a huge stack. You can do pretty much the biggest stack you want to. But the thing you got to remember is, let me see if I got one of these things around. I know I do. I don't have one nearby. I'll just go over with you guys real quick how I'm going to ship this comic. Right now I'm selling, just sold Secret Invasion number 5 of 8. So let's get the camera here angled down a little bit better. Alright, seems to be good. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and go through it with y'all real quick. What you want to do is, you're going to want to wrap your comic in saran, even if it's got a bag, because to me a bag is part of the purchase. If you're getting a comic in a bag and board, especially if it's advertised that way, and I do advertise my comics that way, you don't want tape attached to the comic bag and tearing it up when you're pulling it off. Now, I've seen people use painter. I think it's painter's tape. It's the blue tape that comes off fairly easy. That's okay. I don't have any of that. I have tons and tons of packaging tape. This will work just fine. Just cover your comic. Make sure you got enough film there to cover your comic. At least maybe 1.5 or 1 1/4 times. That's like 1 1/4 over the comic there. That's enough. As long as the comic's covered and the tape won't touch it and any outside liquids won't touch it, that's really all that matters. Okay, now I've got the packing slip here. Alright, and what you'll do, you've got to wrap, get your piece of tape. And see if you've got these corrugated cardboard rolls, what you can do. Let me see if I can angle this camera without knocking it down. If it falls down, go ahead and laugh. It's happened to me a couple of times. Sitting the camera there. Not really attached to anything. But yeah, what you do, take the corrugated cardboard, maybe on it like halfway. Let's see, maybe like that. Then what you're gonna do, let me get the scissors, and you're gonna wrap this around one whole time, wrap it around two whole times. Cut it in the same spot where you started the roll. Let's take a close-up look at what we got. Okay, this is pretty much shows you. It pretty much forms a cushion barrier all the way around the comic, and it has extra space. You can kind of see there how there's extra space between the edge and the comic. And when this is sealed down and taped, it's going to provide a tremendous amount of resiliency to the corner of the comic. To the side also, not to the side as much, but it does have the rigidity there. And once it's sealed with tape, it seems like it forms into the correct solid shape it needs to be in. So let's get the package slip. The reason this one's so good to me is because it's a package that perfectly fits the comic, and then it's got enough extra on the end there to keep the corners from getting banged up. And in my opinion, this beats the Gemini mailer or anything similar to it, because like I said, if the corner of a Gemini mailer gets destroyed, your comic's going to get damaged. And the corner of this thing is just not going to get destroyed. Even if it does, it's got a little space there in the comic. But you'll see how strong this is. I really doubt that this would get destroyed over the Gemini mailer shipping the same item. Let's see, I'm just going to attach your tape. I've shipped, probably 1,000 items this way. And to me, for shipping anything flat, books, video games, CDs, whatever, to me, there's really no comparison. And one way I saw a guy ship a stack of comics to me the other day. He had it in just a regular box. The box was stapled shut. It had tape on it too, but it was stapled shut. And then the only interior protection he had on it was Kroger grocery bags. And then all the comics had that old funky smell, like they've been sitting in a wet basement. And you can't quite see them in that camera angle, but I've got the books back there airing out with dryer sheets of newspaper and had the fan blowing on it, trying to get them aired out. So that's another example of how not to ship a comic. But as you can see here, what I'm doing, I'm taping up, starting of course the middle's already going to be taped up. That's the first thing you do to get it sealed all the way down the seam and close the package up. And then you're going to hit the sides on both ends of the package. You can see that one there's completed. I still got to do this side here, this one here, and then you're going to hit these little spots like here with just a little piece of tape as well when we get to that. But let's go ahead and finish sealing it up. But yeah, I've done tests on this type of package way back when I started slinging D&D books on Amazon when I first started selling. And I literally packed some of them up in this style and just chunked them across the house and tried to bang them off the stuff. And it just does better than anything else. The only way you're going to beat this is by putting the comics in a bigger box and then just padding it out completely. And that's cool too, but something like that's more appropriate for like a really big stack of comics, like something more than these 4-panel holders of this. They call this the book burrito. But for a small amount of comics, I'm telling you, you can't beat this. I'm going to show you here when I get done wrapping it up. I don't see why more people don't do this, or maybe more people just aren't talking about it, or maybe I don't see them talking about it. But every time I watch a video on shipping comics, it's always It's always Gemini mailers or using a priority mail envelope with some rigidity added in, which, like I said, those are okay. But this, you can't beat this. Sending this first class package for really cheap, and you know what I'm saying. It's gonna be cheap, like way cheaper than these guys that are selling with the priority envelope. I mean, they're paying so much more than I am. And this was so strong of a package. The corner of this is not gonna dent in. You see what I'm saying? And it's got a lot of like crush resistance. I put any man to the test to see if he can crush a Gemini box with this first. But those corrugations on this cardboard is gonna be way stronger. I'd have to really twist and tear to get this thing open. And that somebody that's willing to do that is gonna tear any package open. But as far as like sending a small amount of comics, like I'm trying to crush it there and it's just not working. Now, as you can hear, like it's not as solid a contact on the side, but there is a gap there, and it's the corrugation. So it's going to be similar to like a bubble wrap or something. It's like a crushable, like little cushion, basically. And it'll provide a little bit of that, maybe about that much on each side of the, just as wide as two of the rolls of this stuff here. That's how much space you'll get between the side. So that's plenty for the side. But the thing, like I said about this, is the corner resiliency. I mean, there's just no matching it. Your Gemini mailer can't match it. So I suggest if y'all ship comics, give this a try. If you ship a ton of comics, it's worth buying one of these rolls because they're cheap. Don't pay more than $30 or something for this. If you look around, shop around. If you can't find it cheaper than that. I was getting them on Amazon there for around $27 or $30 here a couple years ago. But now sometimes it's just not there. It's too expensive on Amazon. So look around. I think I used Office Depot last time. And yeah, like I said, it's just no comparison. But I appreciate y'all hanging out and watching this little video here on how to ship a comic. Like I said, this is a good way to ship anything flat. Video games, CDs, books, Yeah, it's just like I said, I sent thousands of packages. The main way I ship stuff, if it's an odd shape, it's hard to wrap something up like this. But for comics, unbeatable. But yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out. I'm gonna hit the like, subscribe for me if this helped you out in any way. I'm gonna leave links below to my eBay store and some other stores I sell on HipComic and Ebid and Bonanza. And eBay is always going to help me the most. But I understand most people sell on eBay, so I'm going to have affiliate links to eBay below. And if you buy through that link, it'll help me. And also, if you buy something from my store through that link, then you'll also get a discount, 5% discount on anything you buy store wide. And I'm probably going to start doing for 5% as well. For multiple items, if you buy at least 2 items, you get 5% off. So you combine that with this discount, it'll be like 10% off, and we get you a good deal on a stack of comics. But yeah, we appreciate y'all hanging out and watching this tutorial. We'll see y'all next time. Peace out.